right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, powered by FanDuel Sportsbook.
All right, Ken, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is where we talk sports. We do it every night at 10:35. All you have to do is call us at 412-575-2600. That's the Border Supporters Hotline. Or you can tweet at KDPomp, at Chris Mueller PGH, as we go up to Green Tree and say hello to our friend Chris Mueller on a night where we're watching a lot of action. The one thing there is no shortage of is playoff games, whether that's NBA or NHL. We saw a lot of elimination games today, and one that's potentially still going on with the Flyers and the Canadiens. But Chris, despite the fact that we're kind of sheltered in, nobody can go to games, it's hard to even go to practices, it's kind of nice to see a lot of action out there.
Yeah, it's nice to turn on, several different channels on the television and know that you're going to be able to see sports. I mean, that was kind of the ideal that we all were hoping for, right? Whenever sports came back, that they'd all stay going because we'd be getting through maybe summer nights where we didn't have other stuff planned by watching a ton of sports. And lo and behold, that's exactly what's happening, and that Flyers series, incredibly annoying to watch if you're me, and probably a lot of other Penguins fans out there, at how easy Philadelphia is suddenly making it look against a team that made the Penguins look completely hapless.
Yeah, and that leads to a dilemma that the Penguins are going through, and it's not one that's unusual to sports. You know, the Steelers have a similar thing in a way, in that Cam Hayward is one of those guys who is in his 30s, but still very productive, coming off his two best seasons. I would hope that they would sign him, just because I think what you're going to get from Cam Hayward is maximum effort all the time, a disruptor, and he seems to be a guy who can play at least for 2 or 3 more years. However, in the business of football, we have seen the Steelers over the years part company with guys like Jason Gilden, coming off a sack performance that was really good, but he was getting up there in age. And again, you have to value how much you're going to get out of the guy, how much will you go long term. They did that with Alan Faneca. They did that with Troy Polamalu. The question is, will they do that here? And the Penguins have a similar situation. So it's all part of the business.
Well, the will they do that is hard for me to answer because it's just, you can't predict it. I guess maybe I'd lean slightly no. Like, the longer this drags on, maybe it doesn't get done. Should they do, it's another story. I think the answer there is an unequivocal yes. And I understand that there's some risk involved if you do that with Cam Hayward, and I understand that the cap's going to be coming down. And as Filipponi pointed out, my wonderful co-host Andrew Filipponi, I shouldn't just give him the last name treatment here. Calais Campbell is the oldest defensive lineman in the NFL, and he's 34, and Cam Hayward's 31. But sometimes you've got to make gut-feeling calls on a player. Cam Hayward's the heartbeat of that locker room, I think, even more so than the quarterback, just as far as like a vocal, emotional leader. Guys always talk about him and the role he plays, and he's coming off his 3 best seasons. I have seen no signs of him slowing down. If you get 3 more good years out of Cam Hayward, and maybe it's a 4-year deal, you won big time.
Yeah, there's no question, and I would do it, but I also understand the business side of it and the fact that this salary cap is unknown at this point. And I think a lot of teams are sitting there trying to figure out what will happen, how much of the season do they get through. I'm optimistic they're going to get through it all, and I think it's going to be a really good season for the Steelers, who return just about everyone on a team that had a good defense, and all they need is a productive quarterback, and I think they have their answer there. But it will be interesting as this moves on to see. We're like 3 weeks away, and 2 padded practices in, 1 without pads today. They'll get back to on Friday, and as I mentioned at 10:30 in our newscast there, that we're going to have Steelers Training Camp Live coming at you on CW. That's this channel right here at 6 o'clock on Saturday, 6 to 7. You'll see a live practice right before your eyes, what's going on over there at Heinz Field. So excited for that. Pirates lost again. My question from last night, Chris, would be, would you jump into the river to get a foul ball by Gregory Polanco? Because one young man decided to do that. Tonight, it was a different story. It was Stephen Broad who pitched very good. And what about him? He had 5 innings, 80 pitches. They took him out, and immediately Dovydas Neverauskas gave up another home run to Carlos Santana, who hit one last night.
Yeah, if I was thinking about whether or not I wanted to go into the river to get that home run or that foul ball by Polanco, I would just want advanced knowledge as to whether or not Neverauskas was pitching the next night, because then I'd just go head down to the North Shore and have my pick of about 3 or 4 that would probably get deposited in the river, because he's terrible. Their bullpen's terrible. It is a team that is, 4-16 now, on pace for 12-48 12-48. And yet, I can't help but shake the thought that this is what they were built to do, not win baseball games. You know what's worse than a guy like Neverauskas, who was a long shot to make the big leagues in the first place? The fact that the guy you hedged, you put your little bet on, Gregory Polanco, right? If you were the Pirates and Neil Huntington so many years ago. We're going to sign this guy to a team-friendly, long-term extension. And the only way it backfires, the only way, is if he turns out to be a complete flop of a player. He's much closer to that than anything else. What's he hitting after tonight? Like 68 on the season?
Yeah.
0.68?
He struck out an awful lot.
The guy is just absolutely abhorrent.
They owe him $11 million guaranteed next year, and you know, I was over there a little bit tonight watching Brian Reynolds, who continues to struggle. We need to go to a break, but he only has 1 home run and 1 RBI in his first 20 games, and that's a second-year punchback by the National League. He needs to figure out a counterpunch. We're going to take a break. It's 412-575-2600. Call us with your opinions. We'd love to hear from you. We do it 7 nights a week right here on Pittsburgh CW. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're back after this.